Call the meeting of the Silver Falls School District Board together, together, and all are present, and we'll have the flags.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I entertain a motion on the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda. To entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So approved. Our student representatives. Do we have student representatives this evening? Yes, we do. Mr. Brown. Good evening, sir.
Hello, my name is JJ Brown, and I am a senior and one of the ASB School Board representatives. Before we left for break, we wrapped up our Tree of Giving fundraiser. We met our goal, and we were able to shop for many families within our community. We are so grateful for all the community support. We could not have done it without our Silverton family. As we have come back from break, we have started to plan our Best Fox Ever show and fundraisers. We will have more information to come as we get further into our planning. Now for our SHS clubs. This January, our clubs have been regrouping from their busy December. Our choir and band will be off to their state honor ensembles this week and next. Our sports have been off to a busy 2026 as well. Our girls varsity basketball has put up a 5-5 record, and their most recent game was a win to Corvallis. This week, they traveled to Lebanon, Central, and Plymouth. Good luck, girls. Boys basketball has put up a 3-5 record, and their most recent game was a loss to Corvallis. This week, they traveled to Lebanon, Central, and Crescent Valley. Good luck, boys. Boys and girls swimming traveled to Dallas this week for a meet. Boys and girls wrestling traveled to Woodburn this week. Way to go, winter sports. We are so proud of our Foxes starting in 2026. We look forward to seeing them shine the rest of this year. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, JJ.
Thank you.
Okay, Silver Falls Education Association. Saw them back there when I came in.
First tonight, we wanted to thank all of you board members as a part of Board Appreciation Month. Your commitment to our schools, students, and community does not go unnoticed. We appreciate seeing your involvement outside of these monthly meetings, getting to know the staff, and seeing firsthand all of our students' fantastic accomplishments. Thank you for keeping what is best for our students at the forefront of all of your decisions. It has been wonderful watching true collaboration in action with the school board now. I have personally seen a positive change in the culture in these board meetings, and we are thankful for the stability of our board during what has been a very challenging and chaotic time in education as a whole. There are no real changes for licensed staff. From what you've heard so far this year, times are stressful, but we still show up every day to ensure our students get the education that they deserve. This is our third year now with a work day right after winter break, and oh my goodness, it is so glorious. It allows us to step away from work over that break and actually take a break and spend time with family and rest. On that day, we're able to collaborate with colleagues, update grades, plan out the remaining weeks of the semester. We only have 3 weeks left now until the end of the semester, so everyone's busy finishing units and starting report cards and all that process. The high school will gear up for finals week here fairly quickly as well. We did also want to capitalize on having building principals and thank you all as well. Your teachers' jobs are challenging, but we still see you doing everything you can to help your students and us. You've been positive and supportive to ensure our buildings move forward each day and help us see the positives despite the turmoil this year. We are also gearing up for our bargaining for our next contract as well, which will be coming forward in the spring this year. So that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, and we
Okay.
appreciate the appreciation.
Thank
The
you.
appreciation. Is there anyone present that wanted to make public comment? Do we have anyone online
Let me
that
see
wants
if
to make
Janet
public
is
comment?
I don't see any little hands there.
Yeah, I don't see any either. I think we're,
I think you're good.
yeah, okay. And administrative and staff reports. Kim, you are up first with your report.
All right. So, no, Daniel, I'll look it up there. Thank you. Hey, Daniel, will you, before I start, will you load the video for, thank you, sorry. So in honor of January, which is School Board Appreciation Month, we have a really fun video that the kids and staff members put together for you. So I'm going to start with that because I think it's super fun.
Thank you, school board members, for working so hard to make our school a better place. The students at Silverton High School appreciate all you do for our district.
Thank you, school board, for doing everything for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for being on the Silver Falls School District Board of Directors, and thank you for all that you do for our schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, school board! Thank you, school board!
Thank you for making our schools awesome.
And I just want to thank the school board for everything that they do for us.
Thank you, school board! Thank you, school board!
Thank you for everything that you do for us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, school board!
Thank you so much for volunteering so much of your time for such a great service to our community.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for being on our school board.
We just wanted to show our appreciation for how much each school board member puts into their work.
You know how much time you put in volunteering to make our school district a better place. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to give a big thanks and shout out to our school board for your support, leadership, and dedication to our staff and students. We appreciate you.
Thank you, school board! Thank you, school board!
I just really appreciate your service, and you guys do such a great job, and you're such a highly collaborative board that really is in sync with one another and very supportive of the district. And you don't see that all the time, and so I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you and the support you give our community and our students and our staff. And you're really a great team to work with. I really appreciate you. So thank you so much. And shout out to Patrick. Patrick, thanks for putting the video together. We really appreciate that. You got a little Silvercrest snow in there for you. Job trees.
Well, thank you for that, and that was very much appreciated. But I wonder how many of the little guys especially had questions about what a school board member was after that. Somebody had to address.
Yes, probably a few people that don't
Yep.
Know what's happening.
No, that was very, very nice. Thank you for all of you that had parts in that.
And then at some point, the FFA is going to present about nationals this evening. They usually go when the student representatives go, but they're in their chapter meeting right now, so I may interrupt you and just, at some point and let them come up and share their great success with you. And we just did a tour out there, and it was amazing. And the kids have done such great things this year. So if they roll in here, I'm going to give them the floor. So we're in January already. It didn't take very long, did it? So we talked about board recognition, and I don't have any cool pictures of you guys this year, but that's from last year at Curly Days when you guys, a couple of you worked in that venue, which was really great for kids. So thank you for that service too. I'm going to go quickly through my goal. I'm supposed to do a progress update this month, so I'm going to go through that. There's your superhero award from OSBA. I just threw a fun picture in here because I thought he and I looked a little bit alike that day, so we took a selfie. This was my sewing class at Scotts Mills, which was the most fun I've had this year in the buildings. And these kids made pillowcases and quilt blocks and all kinds of fun things, and they had a great time. But this was on Halloween. I dressed like a corgi. I was going to come see Emily. I never could find her that day. I'm sure she was there somewhere, and I was in my corgi outfit. So superintendent goal number 1, this was and I had a fiscally fit goal last year, which is what I termed our transition out of our financial issues that we had prior to our arrival. So Tom and I worked together. Tom made this really cool tool. It's a forecasting tool, and actually we used it today when we were talking about PERS, and he's going to give you a PERS update. And that tool is really cool because it projects out into the future, and you can really, it's really cool. So that is done, and we are actually using that. And, I think that Tom's got a real visionary look at how school finance is, and he's been helpful to other people, which is really cool because his PERS slide this evening, I showed him to Krista Parent at COSA, and she goes, "Ooh, can everybody use these?" And so Tom does some really great work that is really beneficial to the district and beneficial to the state because it allows us to project forward. Oh, are our friends here? Okay. Hi, Chase. I'm going to give you guys the floor. I'm going to stop for a minute. Come on up. Your stuff's way more interesting than mine. So I'll let you guys present. And I explained to the board that you were in your chapter meeting, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good evening again. I saw some of you about an hour ago. I just want to start by introducing myself. My name is Chase Stoddard, and I currently serve as the that was my role last year. I currently serve as the chapter FFA president for Silverton High School, and I just want to introduce the other officers as well. This is Aubrey.
Yes, I am the current vice president. I'm a senior here at Silverton High School, and I've been in FFA for about 4 years of my time.
Yep, and then I'm Travis Kinsey, serving as the treasurer and junior, so 3 years of FFA so far.
Yeah. So we're just here today to talk about some of our successes at the 98th National FFA Convention and Expo, which was held earlier this year in Indianapolis, Indiana. So we had a lot of members go, a lot of success in our competitive events. So we're just gonna detail that and look at our successes a bit more. What I want to start off with, though, is something that's not really a competition, nothing really focused on any specific part of agriculture, but more focused on Silver Falls School District, SHS, the Silverton FFA chapter, and that is that our chapter was bestowed a very great honor at the National FFA Convention. We earned a 2-star rating in the National Chapter Award Program, and this is a program that's designed to recognize the best FFA chapters in the entire U.S. That is all the 50 states and all the territories, including the Virgin Islands. All the chapters that compete in this are just really some excelling FFA chapters that embody the mission of FFA, the values of FFA, and they employ the strategies that we use to make sure that we are growing the next generation of leaders. So it is just really a great honor. And whenever I have to talk about it, I just want to shout out "Go Foxes" because this isn't about a team. I know a lot of competitions in FFA are about teams, they're about individuals. Maybe you win public speaking, maybe you win agronomy or dairy foods, but this just speaks to our community. It speaks to our agricultural community and our education community. The way that you have all supported us in our chapter, that's why we're able to do this, because we had to put on so many activities, so much planning to be able to win a 2-star rating at the National FFA Convention. I told some of you earlier that I had 80 pages of documentation just into this application and our program of activities. So a lot of work goes into this. And honestly, it's also just we can make a difference in students' lives and prepare them for careers, whether it be in ag or whether it be in science or technology, whatever a student in FFA chooses to pursue. It just shows that as a school, as the Silverton FFA chapter, we are equipped to handle that and to make a difference in students' lives. So thank you.
I guess I can go next here. So I'm representing the ag mechanics team that went to nationals back in the fall. Got a few notes. So we first had to go and compete at the Oregon State competition, which was actually last May. There was 5 of us that went to the state competition. All of us placed in the top 10. First place team securing our spot for a nationals opportunity. So we went to nationals. I was able to show some of you guys earlier like what we did, which was really cool. A lot of hard, difficult tasks under time pressured, and so really put our skills to a test as a team, but great experience. We had 2 days of competing, and then the 3rd day we had our awards. We got our awards, and then the final awards were in the Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where they hold the general session of the FFA convention. Team members were Oliver Zerbrug, who placed 30th, Nathan Detweiler 13th, Aiden Schecker 9th, and myself, Travis Kinsey, 3rd. Our team took 2nd at the national competition. This was the 2nd year in a row for our school. However, with completely different teams. You can never compete at the national level twice in a row as a student. And so these were 8 different individuals that had that opportunity. I'm just really grateful to have had the opportunity to compete. It's not very many FFA kids get to go to Indiana and do that. And so thankful for a great team, thankful for a great coach and all the support from our alumni, school board, everybody. And then also just some lessons I've learned from that. Like there's great skills like how to weld, how to plumb, how to do electrical work, which are valuable in my career that I'm gonna pursue after high school. But there's also other lessons like how to work as a team, how to work under stress. I know I talked to some earlier about like time limits. So you're the best of the best at nationals. How do they know who's the best? So they put time limits on you into where it becomes really stressful. They make it impossible to do, and then you just do your best. And so knowing how to work under pressure in high stakes situations is a great skill to take on to a future career. And then lastly, I would just say that FFA in general, having this national opportunity, getting 2nd, has made a large impact in my life. I mean, from freshman year, where I was kind of scared to talk to people, to now talking to you guys, I mean, just the growth, the impact it has on my life has been huge. So, thank you.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of you earlier as well, but I had the opportunity to compete on our national agronomy team this year. So if you don't know what agronomy is, agronomy is based off of 5 practicums. There is about 165 samples that we are asked to identify of just crops and weeds, and then if you times that by 2, we are also asked to identify all the seeds as well. On top of that, there's about 50 insects and pests that we are asked to identify, but we are also asked to identify their mouth parts and their environmental destructive level. So, if that's not hard enough, we are also asked to take a 60-question test that was written by the Certified Crop Advisor Group, so that is the national level of how to become an agronomist. If you do well enough on that test, you do get offered a free program to register and become an agronomist. So, such a good opportunity to move on with your life, what you want to go through. 3 of our team members actually qualified for that, and I believe 2 of them are now within that course. We are also asked to do a soils practicum. So that is a 25-question test, and we are asked all general soil knowledge, and then we're asked to interpret a soil AOI map of a certain region of the U.S., and it depends year to year. Then, as a team, we are given about 130 pages of reference material and asked to look over a scenario of a customer and create a consultation on why their field is not prospering, why aren't they making their yields. We're given 60 minutes, and then we plan a presentation and give it to a panel of judges who are acting as that customer. So this competition is really detail-based. A lot of memorization goes into it, and I show livestock. I raise pigs, and when Tari was like, Aubrey, like, you should do this, I was like, what? Me? Really? But what you guys don't see is the 40 hours of planned practice time that we put in. And I mean, like 6 a.m., Thursday, Friday morning practice before school. Not only are we giving up our time, but so are our advisors. I work a part-time job every day after school. So I'm up 5 a.m. On practice days, and I don't get home till about 6. Add all that homework, gets a little tiring, but we do it because we love it. That doesn't include all of the independent study time as well. On top of those planned hours, I spend about 30 minutes to an hour every night looking over all of my material just to make sure that I'm holding my weight within my team. And when I talk about the blood, sweat, and tears it took, I was in tears over fertilizer ratios. Kind of silly. But so much of it comes from our heart. There's so many reasons why we succeed, but the biggest one is the love and support that we get from our community and our advisors. Andrew Lehrman, the son of Mr. Lehrman over here, was a big help for our agronomy team. He helped coach our team event. He is part of the reason why I didn't want to drop out of the team in total. Overall, our team placed 6th in the nation, which is kind of crazy, going against 40 other teams with 4 members each. 70,000 people attend this national convention every year. So to be in that top 10 team and to be in the top 30 individuals of this one event is pretty mind-blowing. Such a cool opportunity. Our team and our advisors give us so much encouragement and sacrifices. I mean, there's no cash prize at the end. There's no pedestal. We aren't given like a national day on the calendar. But they want to see us succeed. They have no other goal but to see us succeed. They are our teachers. They're our mentors. If I had 2 people that I was asked who my role models were, easily my advisors. As a senior here, will I go on to be an agronomist? Probably not. Not really my vibe. But because I have done this competition and because I've learned so much within all of the material, I can confidently say that's not something I want to do. But because FFA offers so many competitions like that, where they're real world situations and careers, there's so many opportunities for other members to find what they want to do, to find what they don't want to do. And as a soon-to-be graduated senior, and there's a whole world of colleges and majors and minors out there, and so many careers that I don't even know exist, it's really important to narrow down what you do and what you don't want to do. Most importantly, I've gained the confidence to sit up here and talk to you guys. I've gained the confidence to stand up for what I believe is right. But the only reason I'm able to do that is because of both my advisors, Mr. Terry and Mrs. Baker. Not one or the other, but both of them combined. They are a team, and there are so many other kids who would love the opportunity to have what Silverton does. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Great accomplishments.
I think
we
they
have
all
some goals
want
for
to
some
say
of you.
something, but I'll start because
Yeah.
I know that sports gets a lot of attention and stuff, but you guys are seen, and how you guys represented us, not just daily and how you guys behave, but also on the national level. I see the Fishers here, I see the Googles, the alumni, Monica and Scott. We're super proud of you guys, and your presentation was phenomenal. So really happy to be a Fox. You guys make me more proud to be one, so thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say we might be a sports powerhouse, but it's wonderful to see these academic competitions also really put Silverton on the map. So congratulations, you guys. You're an FFA powerhouse. Really proud of you.
I will say we have two of the most valuable advisors, not only in our district, but at the state level as well. I mean, every year we qualify for like 5 or 6 events at the state level. I mean, it's not pretty often that you see a chapter qualify for 2 events at the national level, let alone back-to-back, and then back-to-back in the top 10 placings. So, I mean, our hearts go out to our advisors because they put so much time and dedication into us to see us succeed.
I would actually say over the past 2 years, we've represented Oregon the best at the national level. One other team placed top 4, but taking 2 teams and doing as well as we have, we've definitely been leading Oregon the past couple of years.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Great job.
Congratulations.
We have gifts for some of you who weren't able to join us earlier.
I believe I have one for Mr. Orr.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. I wanted to be there. I worked till 6. Thank you.
All right, well, what I'm going to say is really boring after that, but
That's tough to follow.
Yeah, that's tough to follow. And they went and showed us all their different competition elements that they had, and those are very rigorous competitions, and hundreds of different seed samples and plants and welding, and it was an amazing tour. So, really proud of the kids. Goal number 2. Goal number 2. So instructional leadership, I had a goal around this, is an important thing in the district this year, focusing on literacy in our K-5 classrooms. And so both UFly and 95% have been implemented in grades K through 5 to support early literacy and reading achievement. We're providing professional development opportunities for staff members. Those have been ongoing. We have 2, Elise and Joe have planned a really great training on the 2nd of February, and we have some professional learning opportunities for teachers in both of these programs during that day. The admin team is being trained also on the 2nd on a walkthrough tool to determine if the systems are being implemented with fidelity. Anytime you put a new program in, it's really good to check and provide support and different things. So you have to just make sure that everyone has what they need to be successful in the classroom. We are, as a district, missing an instructional coach, which would be a really important component of this. That would be super helpful. So we're definitely feeling that as we try to implement new curriculum. The lack of a coach is tough on the district. We are addressing some tech and support needs as they arise. Debbie has printed thousands of pages of stuff for UFly that she's distributing right now. And she laminated it all, and it was a printing project like I've never seen. It took over the whole office, and it took forever. But just getting them those supplies that they need to be really effective. And any good curriculum implementation takes a couple years to 3 years to get it where everyone understands it, everyone feels comfortable in it, and you're going through the motions and are really using the products to their fullest capacity. So,
how quickly do you think we'll see the needle move, though?
Oh gosh, you would ask that, Wally. When I implemented an early literacy program like this, when I was superintendent in another district, it took a couple years for the needle to move. And what happened was, then when I checked their report card this year, and they've gone up 12% over the past 3 years. So it really did make a huge difference. But it did take a couple years for it to kick in and trickle kind of upwards. So yeah, hopefully faster than that. But that's what I would guess if I had to make a guess. Goal number 3 is strategic planning. We are deep in the middle of this. We're partnering with the ESD. We have another meeting next week. We have a work group meeting this week. So it's pretty regular now, about twice a month we meet. We did click up the time frame faster for Mr. Cote. So we did, because we're trying to do long-range facility planning too this spring, so we wanted, the long-range facility planning, they're like, what does your strategic plan say? And I'm like, great point. Not quite done. So we kick that into high gear so that we can use it for long-range facility planning, and hopefully, we can align those things and tie all that together in a nice package that really shows where the district needs to go. Any questions on those three?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding the 95%.
Yeah.
When a family decides to go on vacation during the school year,
Mm-hmm.
does that count against the 95%?
Well, I think what happens is 95% is it's a structural product that supplements our already basic core curriculum. It works really on those phonetic pieces.
Yeah.
When you miss instruction, you might have to make that up when you come back.
Is that something that the school district or the principals individually have tried to promote, to take vacation when school is off?
Yeah, we always say that.
I've noticed that since COVID, it seems like there's been a lot more.
Yeah, I think when COVID was in high gear and when everyone, the attendance parameters at ODE changed dramatically, and they weren't processing attendance like we always have, and so we have some chronic attendance issues in the state that we're working on. We always recommend that families wait until the break times to go on long vacations. That would be ideal, but we know in certain circumstances there are times when families do have to travel. Teachers do a really good job of preparing kids, to do work while they're gone or do other projects that are related to reading. There's lots of things kids can do that are learning related when they're out and about. So teachers do good. We rely on teachers to do most of that work. Any other questions? Okay. In your board packet, you have a full valuation for the property at 11824 Hazel Green Road. This is where Bethany Charter is. And so you guys asked me to get a property valuation for this piece because, it's been mentioned that Bethany might be interested in purchasing it at some point. And so we contracted with Jory Gerard. She was the broker that did the valuation for the Robert Frost property. And she estimates that the property is worth between $1.591 million and $1.714. The closest, nearest comparable that she used was Valley Inquiry bought the piece that they're on Hazel Green Road that Salem Kaiser School District owned. And they paid $1.7 million for that.
Question on this one, Kim.
Yeah.
So I'm just assuming the assessed value is zero because it's not taxable, is that?
Correct, yeah, we're tax exempt.
So
Correct.
there's no assessed value on it then?
Well, no, there is.
There is an assessed value, they just don't give us any tax.
Okay.
Yeah, like we're in a tax
The
exempt.
county has an assessed value of 2 something on it, I believe.
It just says
Yeah.
zero, that's why I was asking.
On her work.
On this report, it said zero. I'm
That's
assuming
just-
it's zero because there's no taxes on it.
If you go to
Right.
tax, I think.
Well,
state-
the value of the land is 267. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can send you the county workup on it if you.
No,
want
no,
to
no,
see
no.
it.
I was just curious if
Yeah, we
that's,
have a kit
was
on it.
more about process. Thank you. The other one was zero too.
Okay.
Zero.
Any questions?
Okay. Okay, Tony, you're up on the personnel request sick leave bank.
Thank you, Chair. Silver Falls School District has 3 different procedures for supporting employees who may have exhausted their available sick leave. 2 of those are within the collective bargaining agreements. Both the licensed, so the teachers, and the classified employees within their bargaining agreements have sick bank procedures. The classified is the newest, coming up in this last bargaining session, and teachers have been, for a while, they've had a sick bank. Additionally, the school board, as part of board policy GCBD-GDBD, which is personal illness and injury leave, also provides the board the opportunity, and it's at the board discretion, to provide a sick bank of up to 50 days for employees who have exhausted their sick bank. So that bank is discrete from those two that are within the bargaining agreements. Now, many employees will sign up to be members of the, what I would call the individual unit sick banks. And when they do, when they sign up for it, the first time they sign up, they contribute time to the bank. And then if the bank ever falls below a certain number of hours, then they are asked again to contribute. However, not all employees sign up for the bank. Now, currently we have an employee who recently suffered a significant injury at work that will result in several weeks of recuperation and rehabilitation prior to return. We have received a request to provide a sick bank under the board policy for up to the 50 days. And that request is coming to you from the board policy because this is an individual who does not otherwise qualify for the bank under the bargaining unit. So that's why this is coming to you. The bargaining unit sick banks are administered cooperatively between the bargaining unit and then my office. The policy sick bank is entirely, again, board discretion. So this request has come to us, and per the policy, we bring it to you, and that's why you're seeing it in front of you. So the ask from this item would be for the board to approve a sick bank up to 50 days for this employee. Each employee who may contribute to the bank has to have at least 12 days available to give, and they can only give up to a maximum of 2 days each. If the bank is approved, my office would administer it according to the board policy. So that's a request in front of you this evening.
Do you support the 50 days?
What was that?
Do you
Sorry.
support the 50 days?
Yes.
Me too.
It's standard, and usually if I'm bringing requests, unless there was something really unique to it, I would come with the 50-day request because it's easier to have the 50-day request and manage it from our office than to if I only give 10 days and then the person has a continuing illness and then have to come back. Whatnot. That's why it's important also that we administer it under board policy, which is to be very careful that people have the amount of hours to give, to donate, and then we do verify that it's an illness where they no longer have sick leave, nor they also do not qualify for the sick bank if they are receiving benefits from like paid leave Oregon.
So how does that interact with workers' comp?
If workers' comp comes into play, then there's a very interesting calculation that you look at between what is time loss and what's covered, and then technically there are provisions where people can supplement that, the remaining amount, with available leave time, which is a little bit different than paid leave Oregon and how it works. But oftentimes in the workers' comp situation, we might not know for a while because there's reviews and investigations and whatnot. So that's why we still look at implementing the bank sooner, because some people will run out of sick leave right away.
So one more question, you were talking about the Oregon leave, which is not obviously 100% of your salary. So do you then, do they then have the ability to stretch that 50 days because you can use only part of a day to bring up to, is that what you were trying to say?
Technically, it would be, yes. What we do, because the way we calculate leave and payout on leave are by hours, particularly for classified employees, but we do that calculation. Actually, I think, Tom, we go down to, even quarter hours or something. There's a certain amount where the thresholds where we calculate pay. So it will be counted against that available time that they would have.
And so that time would be donated by colleagues and
Colleagues.
Is it both licensed and classified who could donate, or is it just one or the other?
On the board policy, sick bank, any employee can.
So that gets into my question how this works, and I was trying to understand what you were saying before. So there are certain employees that choose to be part of the bank, and this was through the union, I'm assuming, as well. So we have an employee that's requesting to access this bank of hours that they have donated their sick days, correct?
No, this is an employee who's not a member of the bargaining unit sick bank. And that's why it's coming to you through the board policy.
So do we have to get permission from the unions to touch union bank hours?
The way so if someone is a part of if an employee is part of let's say the classified sick bank, what they would do is they would submit a request, just like I'm submitting to you as a board. They would submit a request to the sick bank committee for the classified employee group, and then I pull that committee together, usually 3 people and myself. I review what the matter is, what the nature of the illness, does it qualify, does the person have available leave or not, and then that committee decides how many days. Currently, under both the classified and the teachers' sick bank, there's not a specific limit on the number of days. The board policy version has 50-day limit. The classified and licensed unit doesn't have a specific limit. They leave it up to their little committee to make a determination. For instance, there was one last year where the person came in from the committee, they used a certain number of days, but then the illness continued, so they came back and I reconvened the committee and we gave a few more days. So it's, in the bargaining units, it's done by a committee. Board, it's at your discretion.
So
Now, I will say,
to be clear, this costs us money because it's people are donating their sick leave they're holding, they're not using to be used by somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about that. I'm just kind of like evaluating the process, even like the possible tension of somebody who's grabbing hours, who opted out, didn't want them. I was like, does that create tension amongst colleagues? I'm just kind of processing.
I mean, it's a voluntary donation.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, how are we involved if it's I guess there's a policy that says it, but it's also not our hours to give.
Yeah.
yes, and that's why we'll say, and Kim and I had this conversation, there's not a legal requirement that the board have a separate sick bank policy. Oftentimes they were put in place because they are a standard provision. Sometimes you also wonder, what if any of us got sick? Mm-hmm. We're not a member of those bargaining units, right? Or a confidential employee, say. You can, as a board, now that we do know we have in those both bargaining agreements a sick bank provision, one question that will come up, that will be a question for the policy committee, will be, in reviewing this overall policy, does the board wish to continue having the board version of the sick leave bank? 4 or 5 years ago, since the classified sick bank is relatively new, that was very important. Now, we'll go through a review process. We'll discuss it with the committee whether indeed that extra bank is really appropriate at this time, or if the board would like to see a change, like is it a 50-day limit, is it a 25-day limit, or what it might be.
Prior to this contract change, the board approved all sick leave requests. And the reason was they wanted control of it because it does cost the district dollars.
Mm. Yeah. And that's why you see also too that I just refer to employee number, because if any of you in the board had a specific question about the details of let's say an injury or an illness, then I would request the chair to move to executive session for a confidential matter. But the general request for a sick bank isn't a confidential item itself.
So, Chair, this is my last question. I see this on the agenda twice, as far as under discussion, A, B, and 9A.
Tony wanted to give us a background
Okay.
explanation of it.
So in my further
And
questions, save it for that.
We
Okay.
could.
Yeah, so my report is specifically the request. Discussion was put on the agenda in case the board wanted to have more discussion, which you're kind of starting to have now.
So
it's on there for that reason.
Any more discussion to have at that time.
Yep.
Can I ask a quick question? How healthy are the current fund balances for classified?
Very good. Thank you. Great question. So the license bank has 1,402.9 hours available, and last year 208 hours were used. The teachers bank has 400 and.
Who's the licensed on the first one? Are you?
Yep. I thought I was going to remember the actual classified is 451 hours. Remember, they're a newer bank. And last year, only 8 hours were used.
And are those separate banks?
Yes. Monitored by separate committees, classified committee and a license committee.
And I would always encourage employees to join those. It's a nominal amount to get into those banks, and I used that when I was seriously ill, when I worked for Salem Kaiser. And they paid my leave while I have Bell's palsy because my face was paralyzed on the right side. And so that was really traumatic. It was really hard to teach that way, and that was a life-changing thing for me, for them to help me in that way. So I encourage everybody to join that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, you're up with integrated planning and
Skipped a week,
SIA.
number 8.
SIA.
You skipped 8C.
Oh, did I?
Oh, yeah.
My bad.
You're
Which
not
one?
bad.
Yep, I'm way ahead. Well, I'm still right on Tom. Still right on Tom.
Enrollment budget.
Enrollment and finance and documents.
Food
No,
service
we
report.
skipped 8C,
Food
which
service
was food
report.
services
Oh,
report.
wow.
That's Elise.
Scrolling got in my
Doom
way.
Great
scrolling.
report today.
Yes.
Daniel, would you move me as a presenter, please?
Sorry about that, Elise.
That's, I'm gonna try and go quick, but I want to give you a big overview, but,
Do you want the?
nope, because I'm gonna present once Daniel moves me
Oh,
over.
okay. All right.
I apologize for not getting you my slides earlier, but you should have gotten them today.
Thank you for your email, Elise.
Yeah.
This will work. I haven't done this before. Okay.
You're halfway there.
There we go. Okay. We are, 6 months in now that we went self-operated with our food service program, so I thought it'd be beneficial just to kind of give you guys an overview. And then I also wanted to just explain in some more detail what all it takes to have a food service program. So this is kind of just what we're going to go through today. I'm going to try and be quick, but there also is a lot of complicated information to share. I wanted to highlight this is our food service staff that we have in all of our buildings. I shared this out on Parent Square for all of our families to see as well, and so these people are amazing and do great work every day, so I just wanted to highlight them. So year-to-date overview, July 1 was when we officially started being self-operated. We were in the middle of our summer program, so we had a little bit of a transition, but it went very smooth. When we made the decision to go self-op, we joined a coalition called Oregon Child Nutrition Coalition. They are extremely helpful because they provide us with RFPs and all of the procurement for most of our vendors, all but one. And if any of you have ever been part of one of those, it's really complicated and time-consuming and a lot of legalities and all of the things, so the fact that they can do that for us is really helpful. They also provide us what's called a product formulation sheet. So all of our food items down to the type, how much is in the packaging, all of the things have to be verified for how many grains and meat or meat alternate they have. And the manufacturer has to do those. And if we hadn't have joined this coalition, I would have had to track all of these down myself. And that takes a lot of time for the hundreds of items that we serve. So that is helpful that they provide that for us as well. There are other things that they do as well, but those are kind of the two big highlights. Our staffing this year for food service stayed the same as what it was last year. It hasn't changed besides adding me, but we also lost the Sodexo management. To help start us off, we utilize the WESD for support. They started a food service support this year, and Shiloh was the one who's been helping us. We used him quite a bit, but now I maybe talk to him once a week, and it's just a really quick 5-minute check-in, so we're really not utilizing that support anymore. That was the goal, is he helps kick us off, and then we can just do it ourselves. I wanted to just give a quick overview. The community eligibility provision, that is what we are part of, that allows us to provide free meals to all. And so we started that last year. We are still with it this year, and then we'll see what next year looks like if they change the requirements or regulations, so stay tuned for that. And then I also wanted to explain commodity. So commodity is food that is provided to us through the USDA. We have to request items that we would like next month I have to request for the following school year. And we are allotted so much funds based on how many meals we serve every year, so I highly anticipate that the allotment we'll get for next year will be much higher than what we got this year because we served way more meals last year. So these are things like canned fruit, burger patties, frozen fruit, canned vegetables. Those are kind of mostly the main items. Applesauce cups. So it's those things that we can throw into our menus that is free to us to use, and so it's helpful when you're trying to stay on a budget. We have what we call a kitchen, and then we have what's called satellite. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of satellite till I came to this district. But a kitchen is where it's cooked in the kitchen in the school and it's served from that kitchen or cafeteria. Satellite is where it's all prepped at the high school here and we ship it out to the schools that don't have kitchens. So it's kind of a good thing to have when I go through what I'm going to talk about. I realize this is really small and I tried to make it bigger, but to get all of our schools on one slide with information was really hard. So you'll see the schools on the left. The S in parentheses means it's a satellite school. So we have quite a few, and then the middle is the grades that they serve. And then the number on the right, that's the average number of meals that they serve a day. Please keep in mind that can change daily based on what's served. Like pizza day, that number goes through the roof. So this is just on average, and it changes throughout the month or the week or the day. Also, when students are sick, those numbers also fluctuate quite a bit.
Elise, quick
Yeah.
question on that. Just looking at those numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I know like the basic enrollment of those schools and the meals. Do you ever wonder why there's such a gap between certain schools and
Yes.
the enrollment versus others?
Yeah, I do. And those are things that I'm tracking of like, why is breakfast high here but not here? It's a similar demographic, or why is this number serve more lunch? Yes, I am tracking those things a lot this year to try and gather information. And I also have a survey ready to send out to students that my goal is to send it out this month to kind of get feedback of why, what do you like? What do you not like? What would you like to see? So I'm hoping to get that information that we can start shifting to see what kids might like. So,
Thank you.
But yes, I do wonder that every week I pull numbers. So these are our main vendors. We use Cisco for most of our product. United Salad is our produce, Goody Man is our bread, and Spring Valley is our dairy. All of these are the same from last year except for Goody Man. We had Fran's last year, but we have Goody Man this year. So the coalition that we joined helped us get all of those except for United Salad. I did my own RFP for those. So here's where we get into the complicatedness that I call food service and the requirements. So this is just going to be a super brief overview because we could spend hours going over this training. In fact, our food service staff sat in like a 5-hour training over this every year. So breakfast, there are different requirements depending on the grade level. I will note that preschool is not up here. However, we do serve a preschool and they have their own separate requirements. So you will see that there are components. There is a fruit component, a vegetable, which we don't really serve vegetables at breakfast because kids don't take them. There's a grain and meat component and then a milk component. So there's 4. So the grain and meat are 2 separate ones. I don't know why they put it on the same line, but they did. We are required to offer the 4, the fruit, grain, meat, and milk. And students have to take at least 3. It is a requirement that they take 3, 1 being half a cup of fruit every single time. If they don't take 3, it doesn't count as a reimbursable meal. So that's something I have to track every time, is if they take an entree, are they also taking 2 other things, 1 being half a cup of fruit. And so we have to offer all of those things to meet the minimum requirement. And then you'll also see there's requirements for sodium, sugar, saturated fat, like all of these things we have to track with every single menu and option and meal. So
Elise, I see a category that has 0 on it recommended. Why?
That's
is
the
that?
vegetables.
Yeah, why is that?
Because it's not required to offer that because kids don't typically take vegetables. But you can. I mean, we don't, but we could.
No, I mean, I'm just like, that's their recommendations, they have 0?
Yeah.
All right.
Because people don't typically take vegetables for breakfast. We could try, but I don't think kids would take them. They hardly take them at lunch. So.
I wonder what kids look like.
Do you expect this is going to change significantly with the food
I don't
pyramid
know.
change?
I have been wondering that myself since they changed kind of
food
the food pyramid
pyramid
recently.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been this way for 15, 20 years or something. I can't remember when it went into effect. And if they do, you know, we'll adjust. But I can't imagine they would make this change right now.
It'll take a while.
It'll take a while, and I would hope that if they do, they slowly roll things out so that we can adjust, because that would be a big change from where we are right now. So these are some of the things that have changed this year, and we have to continuously watch these changes. So some of the biggest ones were added sugars. So we have to be very conscientious that our cereal has 6 grams or less of added sugars. And so every time I go to order cereal, if a cook puts a different cereal on there for some reason, I have to check that it has that. If it has more, we can't serve it. So that is something that started this year. Yogurt has to have 12 or less of added sugar, and then the milk, new this year, also has to have no more than 10 grams of added sugar, if you think about the chocolate milk. So they did reformulate that. It had to take effect July 1, so that did happen. Offer versus serve is a term I'll go over with you in a little bit, but offer versus serve is optional for us to do at breakfast. We're required at lunch, but it is. So it's where you can choose to offer students all of the things, or you serve them all of the things and they don't really have a choice. But like I said, they do have to have a minimum of those 3 different components, and all of our schools get offered. They have the offer, not the serve, for breakfast. Any quick questions about breakfast before I move on to lunch? Okay, again, this is a brief overview. We could spend hours. So lunch, again, has its own requirements. And so K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12, again, have different amounts for these increments. Lunch is a little bit different. They need to take an entree and half a cup of fruit or vegetables. So they don't have to take milk. They don't, because typically an entree has 3 multiple items, and it has meat and a grain most all the time. It's got that combination. And so they have to take half a cup of fruit or vegetables. So I have to track, if we served 100 entrees, there has to be at least 100 fruit served, or 50 fruits and 50 vegetables. So I just have to track that is. We never have that problem because kids always take a pretty good amount. The other thing is you'll see the colors, dark green, red, beans, starchy, other. We are also required to offer those weekly. So if for some reason we don't offer beans that week, we're really not in compliance. So we have to offer those. The kids don't have to take them, but we have to offer those. So when I go and check what a cook has put in, I have to make sure that they've done those each week. If not, we follow up on that. So again, there's grain requirements, meat requirements, milk requirements that we offer all of them. They don't have to always take milk and those kinds of things. Again, there are sodium levels, saturated fat levels, sugar requirements. There's all the fun things, so we have to track regularly. Questions about lunch?
So how do you integrate the vegetables if they're part of the entree?
Yeah, so that is, it's really interesting. And I'm actually going to show you our program that we use. And so if like sometimes our tomato sauce will count as a vegetable, it's calculated in the whole program, and it'll calculate it towards the numbers each week. Yeah. Without that program, I don't know what I would do. I'd lose my mind. So, any questions about lunch?
I want to go back just a little bit. You talked about the coalition. How much does that cost the district?
There is a rate per student that we pay.
Okay.
I don't remember what the exact rate
Sounds like a
is.
valuable service. I'm just curious what it costs.
It is, yeah. It's not bad. I don't remember. It's minimal for the support that we get. Yeah. It's a good question. Any other questions? Okay. So this is the thing that I was talking to you about, offer versus serve. So most of our, well actually I guess half of our schools are offer, meaning we offer all the items and students can pick the little bits and pieces that they want. And then serve is you literally get all of them, you don't get a choice. And so I'll explain a little bit what that means. So the pros of having offer versus serve, because we offer foods to our satellites. For breakfast, it is an offer format. Kids can kind of pick and choose what they want. But for lunch, it's a serve, meaning we have to give them, you remember all those minimum requirements? We have to give them those. They don't get to pick and choose. So if you're at Evergreen, you literally get a stacked lunch that has your milk, your grain, your fruit, and your vegetable every single time. If they don't want it, they can put it on a shared table, but we have to give them that whole meal every single time. So the benefit of doing that is it allows us to serve our satellite schools meals, and it's also guaranteed a reimbursable meal because they have to take the whole thing. The downside is that a lot of the kids don't eat the broccoli or they don't eat the cauliflower, and so it gets thrown away. So it's kind of a downfall to the serve part only. It doesn't really allow them choice for the vegetables. I mean, we try and change it up weekly, but it is kind of a downfall sometimes. And the cost to serve only, again, there's that food cost because we have to give them all the components, that there's that additional cost associated with it, whereas kind of here at the high school, we offer the things that we know the kids want, and so we're not wasting as much food. So there's pros and cons to that. So this is where I really wanted to kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like. We use the program called Healthy Pro. It is what gives us all of our nutritional facts, our menus, our production records. So one added bonus that we have, oh no, it doesn't share the whole thing. I'm gonna have to share a different screen. Hold on just a second. So one nice thing that we have this year is we have access. Parents can go in, or our nurses do actually daily, can go in and look at nutritional facts. So you could pick any of our schools. I'm just going to use Butte Creek because it's at the top. And you can look at any of their menus. And you can go in here and look. And you can see what is on the menu for each day. The one thing that's really nice this year that I know we did not have great access to last year with Sodexo is if I want to come in here and see how the nutritional facts of the grilled cheese and tomato soup, it is all here. It also has the allergens, the attributes, it'll tell you the ingredients. So this is something that our nurses use quite frequently when they're monitoring levels for our students with diabetes, and so this is really helpful for them. You can also make a whole menu if you want. So if I knew that my kid today ate the chicken burger, they had the broccoli, and they had the applesauce, over on the side, you can see this is what my kid had today. So it's really helpful when trying to figure out if you need to figure out those levels for kiddos.
Does this give you access if you have your own recipe that one of your staff decides to make that's off the, or
They
is
should
this
not
only
be going off the menu.
Okay.
And if there is something that they would like to try, I have to go in and make a recipe for it. So
Okay.
They should not be going off.
But you have the ability.
Yes, I have the
to-
ability to make a recipe for that, yeah. Questions about this parent-facing side?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to have. I'd love to get pictures in there, but that takes a lot of time, and we just don't have capacity right now. So some of the other added bonuses is we manage this. This is all something we do in-house. We have the choice, we have the say. We can utilize different options. One of the things to keep in mind is we have 14 menus. Most districts have 6. We have 14. So that's 14 different menus that I set up every month, and that our cooks go in and put their records on. So I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. So this is my side. This is what I get to see every day. So this is all of our menus that I have to monitor every month and update as needed. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. So we'll just look at the elementary K-8 lunch menu. So I have to come in here every month and make sure that we have our entrees, our vegetables, our fruit, and the milk, and any condiments, because our middle schoolers and high schoolers, they do like their condiments. So you'll see all of these are yellow. That means they're in compliance. They're not green and fantastic, but they're in compliance. To get them green is really hard because there's a lot of things to monitor. So if I open up a specific day, you'll see over here these weekly standards. So it'll take all of the options I have on the menu for the whole week, and it'll tell me if I'm meeting all the requirements. So if I have the saturated fat at the right level, the calories, the sodium, and if there is something that's out of whack, it will tell me. It'll be bright red, and it'll tell me I need to fix it. And so this is how I ensure that we stay in compliance on all of these things. Cooks can also see this, and they can also open up any of the things. They can click on it and it gives them the recipe. So if they want something different, I have to go in and make it. But each of these items, they have their own, that product formulation sheet I told you about. They each have this because the chicken nuggets have nutritional facts that also have right here, they call them specs or SIA, it depends on who uploads it, but it'll have here the facts. So you asked me about some vegetables sometimes, it'll be right here in this meal component. So you'll see these chicken nuggets, they have 2 ounces of meat, which is fantastic, and only 1 ounce of grain, which is why we also serve it with a roll, because they usually need 2 ounces of grain. So this is kind of what my side looks like, and the cook's side also. And then, so you'll see here, this is Tyson food. If for some reason we don't get the Tyson product, I have to fix it. So it has to match the product that we get. So it's we get a lot of substitutions, and it's not fantastic, but we have to match exactly what we're serving, because unfortunately different products have different nutritional facts, and we want to make sure that we get it right. So this is kind of what it looks like on my end. So recipes is something that you asked about. I am slowly working on adding these in here. And I'm putting SFSD in the title so that our cooks know that these are ours, that these are ones we frequently use, because sometimes they might have to add something to their menu, like they got a substitution or they had extras from the previous day and are rolling it over, so they have to add that to their production record. So I'm slowly adding these things in and making ones up as cooks come up, but every time I make a new recipe, it has to meet all those requirements, so it's kind of a game sometimes. So that's kind of what it looks like on my end. For a cook, they have to do what we call production records every single day for both breakfast and lunch. So I'm going to show Butte Creek's. Samantha is the lead cook up there, and she fills these out every day. So there's a forecast, there's prepared and served. So she has to fill out all of these, but I'm going to go to the served column just because it has all of the information. So she has to come in here every day, and she has to put how many she prepared for every single item. So every chicken nugget, every ham and cheese sandwich, every parfait, all the fruits and vegetables, she has to come put how many she prepared for the day, how many she served, and then how many she had left over. You'll also see she'll make a note if there was something that was spilled. She also will come in here and put the temperature, because one of the things is we're required to temper our food for safety reasons. She'll also typically put those in here as well if she's temped the food. Most of them have a paper log next to their oven that they keep, but she'll sometimes put them in here as well. So you'll see here they served 192 entrees. So what I have to do is I have to come down and check. Do we have at least 192 vegetables and fruits combined? So she has 185 vegetables. She's almost there. So 184. So between the two, she's well above the 192. And then I check and make sure. So here you can see she actually added the apple because it wasn't there. Then I check that we're not over serving milk. We should have no more milks than our entrees, and then any condiments. The other thing that I check is I'll check the vegetables to make sure she hits all of those categories she needs for the week. I literally sit with a whiteboard at my desk and I check them off as I go down to make sure that they hit them all for the week. So the cook has to do this every day for breakfast and lunch. So there is a lot of counting that happens in this world. And ODE will check these. So every few years they do what's called administrative review, and they will go through this with a fine-tooth comb. And so I'm coming to find that this was not monitored previously, which is really unfortunate. So this year's been a lot of learning and growing for our cooks. They were doing these, but I don't know if it was being monitored as closely. And so we're doing a great learning. A lot of them are really picking it up of getting it done. Once they get in the flow, it doesn't take too long for them. So, but they're doing really good about getting these done, and I check them weekly or monthly and follow up as needed. Questions about this? You're getting a lot all at once.
Yeah, no, it's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Appreciate the presentation. And in the presentation you sent me, I didn't have example of the numbers, and I was interested in seeing, you know, increase compared to last year and so on. The main thing I wanted to ask you, though, is on the other end of the spectrum, because at one point I had students here, and a couple of them were fairly large boys and liked to eat a lot, and found it very frustrating that they were limited to one sandwich or one, when in reality they ate about 4,000 calories a day.
I wish I had control over serving size. I do not. That is a higher up level that I just don't have the say over. So right now, students can get their first meal is free.
Okay.
Anytime after that, they would have to pay for it.
Well, that's an improvement compared to before.
So-
At one point here, you couldn't do that.
Yeah. So I mean, they can load up on as many fruits and vegetables as they want,
Yeah.
but I also know that's not filling. I will share the Uncrustables by far have the most calories of any item we serve. It's almost 600 calories for one of those lunch Uncrustables. It's giant. It's the most calorie high option that we serve besides the baked potato bar, which is about once a month. So if they really want something, I would recommend the Uncrustable.
I don't have to pay for them to eat anymore.
There you go, great. So these are things that I track regularly because, this is our first year. We really want to see where are things going budget-wise. So I track meals per site, so how many meals are taken each week at each site. I monitor both breakfast and lunch. I monitor what's called our meals per labor hour, so I take how many meals are being served compared to how many hours to give us a number, just to kind of see where it's at, where it's low, where it's high, to help kind of figure out what we need to do for next year. I track popular items. Obviously, we want to serve the items that are popular more frequently, so we're working on adjusting those. For example, one item I noticed we served pizza sticks this year. It's really not that popular, so we kind of just went back to serving pizza because the kids like that better. So I am tracking the budget maybe a little too much. Tom told me to take a break from it.
It is exhausting. Yeah.
So I was tracking it really closely because this is our first year, and I want to make sure and figure out where's our money going, how can we make it better, because we've just been in the deficit for so long that it's kind of frustrating to keep seeing that. I track food loss. Unfortunately, we've had quite a bit of food loss this year, power outages, cooler going down, a whole slew of things. I track our staff hours and their time cards weekly. I track substituting. So, in the teaching world, very rarely do you go without a teacher. You get someone, you obviously can't go without a teacher. In the food service world and even custodial world, it's a little different. Sometimes we don't get anyone. And so we have to shift and shuffle. It's not great, but we make it work, and they do a really good job of kind of adjusting as needed. And I'm really impressed with how they will shuffle at very quickly. And then I also compare, one of you two asked, I think. I'm checking meals from last year to this year because I just want to see where are we going, which schools have higher numbers, lower numbers, why. And so I do track those regularly. Breakfast has gone up actually quite a bit. Lunch has gone down a little bit from last year. So trying to figure out why that is.
Would it be and I don't want to by any means add work to you, but out of curiosity, would it be difficult for you to shoot me an email with some of those numbers?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Out of curiosity, what do you do with leftovers? Do you reformulate it the next day, or what
It depends
happens?
on the item. It really depends on the item. And so, like yogurt parfaits, we can reserve those the next day. Obviously, as long as they've stayed at temp, we're monitoring all of those things. Some of the hotter items we can reutilize, like the chicken burgers. Sometimes we can reutilize the chicken patty if we bring it down to temp. Following protocol, they could cut it up and use it in a salad. So there are some things that we can use the next day, some things we can't, and we have to unfortunately check them. So that's why our cooks, most all of them have a printed menu, and even though they do the production records, they'll still write down I served this many. So if they know it comes back up, they'll frequently go back and see how many did I serve and try and adjust. Most of our elementary schools do a meal count every morning, and so each teacher will submit, I need this many option 1, this many option 2, and then they'll make a couple more. So it could be worse, but they do a pretty good job of that. And then our satellite schools actually have to order lunch the day ahead. And so the day before, so we know how many to prep for the next day. So again, those are pretty spot on for the most part. really it's the middle school and high school that don't do those meal counts, and so it's harder to track those, but.
What happens at the satellite school? I'm not here today, but I am tomorrow, so I didn't get one.
So most of them have kind of worked out a plan by teacher. If they know, like if you frequently order lunch and you're not here today, they'll go ahead and throw it on the order for tomorrow. We try and ask, you know, if you have a big absent number from the next day, give us a call and we can adjust, just to try and bring down some of that food waste. So these are some of the ODE reporting requirements. I did not realize there were so many. So we have to do monthly meal claims. So that's where we have to track and we have to input how many meals that we serve. This is how we get reimbursed. So we have to do that every month. We have to do what's called site monitoring. So as you can imagine, a supervisor goes into a teacher's classroom and does an observation. We have to do that for each building for breakfast and lunch. We go in, watch how it's served, provide any feedback, and make sure they're following requirements. We have to report any excess operating fund balance. I'll be honest, this one was really fun to report this year because we didn't have any from last year, and I was like, we have nothing. I just want to submit zero, but there's a whole form and a whole process and a report that we have to share that Tom got for me. We have to do required health inspections with the county, 2 a year per site. We have to report on non-program food costs. So that is anything that we are making money from. So if kids take a second meal, if we have adults that are buying meals, we have to report if we used food service funds to make it. We have to report any costs that we got from that, if that makes sense. It was a little bit more difficult this year. I had to connect with Sodexo to get numbers, but it'll be more clear next year because we know exactly what we need to report. We are utilizing the farm to school or farm to CEP grant, or school grant. So that is where we're allotted so many funds to utilize Oregon processed or made foods. That's how we got all the grapes and the apples in the beginning of the year. We pay up front, but then we get reimbursed for those. So I'm trying to utilize all of those because essentially it's a free product and we like to use local people anyways. Every few years we have what's called an administrative review. I kind of talked about that. They go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. We also have to report Buy America. So there's a requirement that a certain percentage of what you buy can be made or produced outside of America, but it's only 10%. And that's going to drop in the next 10 years. So I have to, mostly it's our produce. I have to track every single item that we buy. And if it's not made in America, we have to track it. And then the ODE will also do what's called a procurement review. So they'll check all of your procurement documents, make sure you've done it correctly, which is why that coalition is really helpful because they have all that for us. So I just say, I need all the documents, and they hand them over. So these are just some of the things that I wanted you to be aware of. 2 more slides and then I'm done. You guys are troopers for hanging in there. So these are from my perspective. Some of the challenges that we have with our food service is food loss. We've had quite a few power outages. We've had some systems break where we are able to track some things, and so we've lost food that way. Kitchen logistics, this kind of goes to some of our kitchen setups are a little complicated, and then the logistics of having all of our satellite food made here at the high school makes it a little difficult. The high school staff is amazing and they all support each other, and we have one person who's mostly dedicated to the satellite and she knows it in and out and she's great. We really need to cross-train her because if she's out, it's not fantastic they figure it out, but it's really hard. But the ordering ahead, the sicknesses, the absences that come about, the training, because at the satellite schools, the school staff there are the ones that actually serve breakfast. And so making sure they're trained and they're correctly identifying a reimbursable meal. They have to take the 3 items. They have to have this. So it's just some of the challenges with so many different people being trained, whereas in a kitchen it's 1, 2, 3 people that have that training every single year and know it inside and out. I think when we did our training at the beginning of the year and we invited all of the satellite schools, I think we had like 30 people. So making sure 30 people understand all of the rules and requirements, there's room for error. I'll be honest, for me, one of the challenges is the 14 menus. We have so many configurations in our district that managing 14 menus is quite a bit, whereas most districts have 6, like an elementary breakfast lunch, middle school breakfast lunch, and high school breakfast lunch, but we have 14. Some of the other challenges that I talked about are just kids are absent, staff are absent, and we have to fluctuate. I know one of the things I've subbed in the kitchen quite a bit this year is the continuous counting. How many cheeseburgers did we have? How many did we serve? And it's a lot of counting, and ODE does not like if your numbers don't match. They will ask you why. As you know, we have a lot of outdated equipment. A lot of the food service equipment has not been updated in years. I think Butte Creek might have the oldest dishwasher. Mr. Palmer maybe can speak to that. I had a dishwasher manufacturer come around and he said, I've never even seen one like this. So we have some very outdated equipment, and just all the regulations, the health inspection regulations, the USDA regulations. It's just, there's a lot, as I gave you a little preview tonight. But I do want to end on celebrations. So granted, we've had a transition, but we've had some really amazing things happen this year. We are projecting very much less in the deficit. As we told you guys, there would be a deficit this year as we're transitioning and learning all the things, but much less deficit than we've had previously. And I anticipate we will just continue to get that down as years go. We applied for 3 equipment grants, and we did win 1. We were one of 9 districts that got an equipment grant. So Victor Point is getting a new 3-door freezer to replace their one that is about 30 years old. And so that should be coming this week or next week. The overall grant amount that they provided was $95,000 for the state. And that freezer was a little under $14,000. So we got a very large chunk of the funds. So that was very exciting. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback over the quality of the food this year. Because we're managing it ourselves, we have more accountability with our vendors. So many times I will follow up and say, we didn't get this, we need a credit, or the produce was bad, here's a picture of it, can you please, give us a credit for that, or the delivery's not here, when's it coming? We're able to really just hone in on our vendors more. We have more choice. We get to say what's on the menu, and I'm hopeful with the student feedback we'll be able to get more information. We're utilizing the Farm to School grant. I think we have about $13,000 for the year that we can utilize. There is another grant that we are able to utilize for 2 of our schools, which is breakfast after the bell. So 2 of our schools qualify for us to serve breakfast throughout the day after the bell rings, so kids can get that. And we can purchase equipment to help with that process.
What's the criteria for that?
It is a certain poverty level for that school. Yeah. We've utilized a lot of local vendors this year with produce. We've gotten grapes and apples. We're looking at some dried fruit from a local farm. So I keep continuously looking at what else can we get. I also submitted for some reimbursements or rebates from from manufacturers. So there's a General Mills one. We had never done those previously, and so we're doing those this year. It's not a lot, but we'll take anything we can get. And another celebration is just that parent-facing nutritional facts. I know our nurses have really appreciated that when they're trying to check kids' levels. So this was a lot of information that I gave you, but do you have any questions?
Just one. Food loss, how much?
I don't have, I could give you a number, but.
Because what I'm thinking is power goes out. I mean, how hard it would be just hook generators to our biggest freezers and fridges. I'll donate mine. I got a big one.
So I can tell you the last power outage that we had where we shut down for the whole day, it was the Wednesday before break. So my family and I, we took a little outing to Silver Falls, and we went to all the schools to check the food loss because we had to check temps of all of the coolers and the freezers. There were only a few that we lost, and it was mostly milk. And milk is not horrible. It's 29 cents to 32 cents a thing, but we also had the high school freezer that went down.
I'm just saying, do we have a procedure if it's down for more than a couple days?
That's a good question. If we do we hook up to generators?
Yeah, because I backfeed my house. I'd imagine that's something we should probably look into.
I think all the K-8 schools would love generators. But I'm not aware of a procedure that we do. I just know I have to go around and check all of the temps to make sure food is staying at the temp it needs to.
Okay.
But I can add that to my
On
list.
what, take along what Josh is saying there, could that be looked into? I mean, we're talking the expense of putting a hookup into it, and we're talking most of these, you know, I don't know what type, how big a generator would take for most of these freezers. But
I can tell you that.
at least look into it to see if it's feasible or not.
Should be a simple ROI.
That was it. That's on like the cost of the generator versus how much food we lose.
Yeah. The high school cooler and freezer is on a backup generator, so thankfully that one has most of, like, a lot of food. And that one is, like, when we lost power, that one was good.
Because I know these big freezers and stuff, and refrigerators, they probably got pretty big compressors, so they probably would take quite a bit of watts.
Yeah.
At
That'd be
least look
something
into it and see
I'd have to work
if
with
it's
Jeff on
feasible
that.
or not.
Yeah. I just want to say how impressive it is to see this kind of career switch in a way, or pivot. This administrators and teachers not trained in this stuff. It's
No.
amazing that you were able to do this. So kudos to you.
It's been a learning curve, but we got there.
I have pretty large background in food services and restaurants and so on, and that's pretty impressive. Like, this doesn't work out for you, I'm sure you can find a job.
I think Kim would be mad if I
But mostly, I'm very impressed at the progress that we're making. I think we're definitely going in the right direction, and I commend the work that is very innovative and impressive. So thank you.
Good job.
Feel like it's us, and thank you for the very well done and detailed report.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you, Elise.
Okay. Tom, you ready with our financials and enrollment?
I get to follow Elise. I will start with the always exciting enrollment update. For the month of December, overall, 4 students were added, so we are at 3639. Biggest adds were Butte Creek, Victor Point, and High School, and I think really the only main decrease that was on there was the middle school, but we are at 3639, which is about 1% over where we ended last year, so we're kind of holding there. Again, it fluctuates every month, a little bit up, a little bit down. That's my enrollment update. Any questions? Okay, so on to the budget. Spoiler alert, there's really no change from last month, which is excellent, excellent news. We're at the halfway point in the budget. We're still at about 62% of revenues year to date, which is just slightly more than last year. Kind of looking ahead at a projection, will probably be the same that we were at last year, at least at this point. Again, we're only at 6 months, so that'll be fine-tuned as we get a little bit closer to the end of the year. We might be up a little bit more. We might get a little more than 100% of our revenue. I can say that there's been a couple categories we've just done really well, like interest earns on our investment, on our bank account balances. We've already met our budget before that in the revenue for this year, so we're doing really well, and hopefully that'll be an extra $300,000 alone just in interest this year. So right now we would project conservatively that number on the bottom right, the 54 million.
Is the reactivation of the rural school district funding, was that something that we were counting on, or they just passed that like last week, I think?
I do not have information on that.
That's not a huge impact to us. It's more so larger
Are we not
communities of-
rural enough?
Yeah.
Is that based on like the percentage?
Yeah.
You would have to, oh, okay.
Yeah. Mhm. I
We
mean,
have
it
one of the
impacts
best
us. It
FFA
impacts us a
in
little
the
bit.
country.
but- Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so that's a projection, sorry.
I just have one, Tom. Tuition from other districts. We had like a lot more money come at this point last year than this year. Is there a reason we're pretty short, like $90,000? I don't know what that's from.
I don't know, I'll have to look into it and
Okay.
get back to you.
That's the only one I see lagging for expected revenue.
It might be timing on when you receive it. but
Okay.
We can check. yeah.
Probably change next month. All right, thanks.
Like I said in budget camp, you guys remember budget camp, we don't have a lot of control over revenues. We have control over the expenditures, so that's what we kind of focus on and what I try to focus on the report. Good news is, at the halfway point, we continue to not see really any fires in terms of percentage of budget spent year to date. We're about 35%. Last year at this time, we were about 40%, and it just probably means that we're a little more dialed in this year. Things are a little more accurate in the budget. Yeah, it's all really good news. You can see their capital outlays already over budget. We have a lot of capital expenses that have kind of come in. Walk-in coolers that have been needed to be repaired and retrofitted. We had a walk-in fridge that needed to be repaired. We had to replace a vehicle, other equipment. That might be also because we kind of held off on some things last year to be conservative, and now we kind of have the ability to go ahead and make those expenses. I also think it's interesting that we're at 35%, because if I were to guess where we should be, I would suggest you want to aim for 35%. And the reason is kind of interesting. Although we have a pay period every month, most of our payroll expenses fall on the 4 paychecks the first half of the year and 8 in the second half of the year. And that's because in June, most of our employees get 3 paychecks. And so that's kind of like 1/3 and 2/3. Well, ironically, in our expenditures, 75% of our budget are core personnel expenses, wages and benefits. So if you multiply those together, that's 0.25, and we usually spend about 10% in non-personnel of our budget in each half. So that's about 0.35. That's about 35% of the budget, and that's exactly where we are. And it's interesting on the next slide that you can kind of see a comparison to previous years. I would definitely not recommend going above 40%, because then you're taking away the room that you probably need towards the end of the year to meet all those expenses. So the good news is, if you were kind of coming up with a target or a range that you want to aim for, we're exactly there. And you can kind of see there the problems in FY24 pretty clearly too. So doing the projections is really similar to what I had last month. Materials and supplies, though, will be higher. Last year we spent about 67%. We'll spend probably a more normal amount, like 85% of the budget there. We have a lot of cameras that we've had to replace and install. We've got laptops that, I think we have more than 200 laptops that are now more than 10 years old. And so they're no longer supported by Microsoft, and so that's a cybersecurity risk. We have to look at replacing those, so that'll come out of M&S.
Is there grant money for those laptops?
There is some grants for technology, but they're very small. The ones that we have found are all like 5,000, 10,000, and these 200 laptops we're replacing, that's probably 100,000 or more. But we keep looking, and some of the grants have also changed over the last couple of years in terms of their funding.
We used summer school money to provide some technology over the summer, so we were able to use that.
Just strange to me, because I remember when they first came out, they were talking about, making
Grants?
sure every kid had equal opportunities for education. They were basically handing those puppies out, and I think that was mostly grant funded, or maybe it was a federal program.
But especially during COVID, there was a lot of funds for Chromebooks for students and things like that. I think there's some kind of ebb and flow budget-wise. Finally, the end of the year percentage looks a little deceiving. So that number, 97%, is what we're kind of projecting. Last year we had 96.7. We're not really spending more. It's just that last year, under those insurance transfers, that also included almost $4 million for a TAN loan. So the budgets are a little bit different, and that amount it had a much different proportion to it. So that kind of affected the numbers. So, long story short, if you're looking at an end of year net, it's almost about a 1.4 million. That's not the fund balance. That's what we would add to the fund balance. So if we began this year with 3.1 million, that would put us on target for 4.5, which is where we're at now. And then from now on, we'll be more accurate. We'll get, as we get closer, so probably by February, March, we'll be really zoned in and can say with much, much more confidence that is true. I'm almost hesitant to say that and jinx myself, so I have to kind of knock on wood. If there's one thing that any CFO in the school districts in Oregon will tell you, it is never try to quickly explain PERS costs. It never works. It's too complicated, and you really lose everyone. So So tonight I'm going to try to quickly explain PERS costs. I mentioned last month in the deeper dive into the December valuation report we got from PERS, and that this could mean for us an additional cost of $1 million a year starting in FY28, which would mean starting July 1, 2027, which is FY28. So really everything centers, I think, around kind of understanding UAL. This is that first term to kind of understand what's going on, and that's unfunded actuarial liability. It simply means there are less funds that PERS has to meet the future obligations, the future retirees. And this is due to the past. Mm-hmm. Up until 2000, PERS was 100% funded. They had all the dollars that they needed to pay out all the retirements that were going to happen for all the employees they've had up until that point. Today, it's about 78% funded. So why? Probably the number one reason is poor market returns, especially after the year 2000. Probably the number two reason is early retirement tiers like Tier 1 and Tier 2 probably had more generous retirement benefit payout structures than could be actuarially supported through average market returns. But when market returns were above average, things looked perfectly fine. So in 2000, they weren't really noticing that things were potentially out of whack in terms of the formulas and from an actuarial perspective. When the markets tanked, it was a double whammy. PERS resources and the investment balance decreased significantly, but there were also a lot of reductions made in the public workforces because of that, because of the economy, and because of revenues for local governments, for everybody in the public sector. So then there was less people paying into PERS. So now they were getting less flow in terms of the PERS contributions. So the only strategy that PERS could respond with was increasing employer rates and creating a new PERS tier, which is called OPS, or some people call it Tier 3, which is more moderate in terms of its design and potential payout of retirement benefits. So briefly, I just want to show the kind of four main parts of a PERS rate. If you get a PERS valuation for you as an employer, it will kind of mention these four areas. There's the normal cost rate, which is the rate you have to pay for right now. These are your employees right now, and this is their future benefits. There's the Tier 1, Tier 2 unfunded actuarial liability. This is from the past. Tier 1 is hired before 96. Tier 2 is hired between 96 and 2003. These are sometimes referred to as the legacy plans. There's the OPSRP UAL, which is usually kind of a small amount that you have to pay because it has less UAL to it compared to Tier 1, Tier 2. And a member redirect. This is kind of acts as a credit. This is part of a recent Senate bill, which when PERS is funded less than 90%, a portion, and this is mandatory, employees have no choice in it, the IAP program, which is part of the benefit, a small portion of that goes to pay for the unfunded actuarial liability and help bring that down. So here's kind of just a sample of what our PERS rate kind of looks like. At the top is our normal cost rate, and this is for the employees right now. Well, actually, there's not much change from right now to the next biennium. Below that is the UAL for Tier 1, Tier 2. That's exactly the same, 14%. These percentages, by the way, you could just think of as straight payroll costs. So if you're high up and you make, I'm just using 100,000 because it's easy math, 15% would be an extra 15% you're writing a check to PERS on top of that. So you just think of that as pure writing checks to PERS. There's a small UAL for OPSRP members, which is about 2.69%. That goes up slightly. And then the redirect. So it gives you a little bit of a credit for that redirect where the employees are all paying a little bit towards that amount. So there's kind of our gross PERS rate, 29.7% for Tier 1, Tier 2, 26.52, and just very little change from where we are right now to the next biennium. The change is in our pension bonds. We have several pension bonds or side accounts, which are bonds, like all the school districts have done. They've taken out, well, not all, most of them, they've taken out, and then that money they give to PERS. PERS invests it. And the idea is the investment returns will be higher than the premiums you pay on the bonds, and that acts as a credit to help lower your PERS costs. It won't work if the market tanks because these are investments. You would actually pay more. But the assumption is you would at least get 7%, which is PERS annual assumption of what their earnings are, and you work off that. So when interest rates are low for the bond, that puts you at an advantage. if interest rates are really high, I don't think employers are going to go out for pension bond because they're going to be they're not going to really have any room to make an advantage to their employer rate. And so we have 3 pension bonds, and 2 of them are expiring in a couple of years. And because they're expiring and going away, the credit that we get from them goes down. So that's why for the current year, we see a credit of 13.8%, and then the next biennium it goes down to 9%. And that increases our rate. And that in yellow is kind of our blended rate. Since 80% of our employees are OPSERP, if you kind of combine that with the math, you can think of our overall base PERS rate of being 13.29%. The overall base rate next biennium is 17.35%. And then if you added, the 6% that we have to pay for employees for the IEP, probably the majority of school districts do that. You can also elect to have the employees pay that 6%. That shows the increase going from 19.29% to 23.35%. Based on projected payroll for FY28, that's a cost to us of $1 million. So that's direct PERS costs. When you look at PERS costs as a whole, that's where I think a little bit of the surprise is. And you have to go to our pension bonds. In the current year, we have 3 pension bonds, 2003, 2004, and the 2021 pension bond. So the total principal and interest payments we have to make this year are $4.3 million, which is actually almost about 20% of our payroll. So if you add that 20% to the other PERS rate, which was 19, our PERS rate is close to 40. So again, you're making 100,000, you're writing a check for 40,000 to PERS right now. Oops. So 4.3 million in principal interest payments this year, but because the pension bonds are going away, you can see they're trailing off. They had those last payments in FY28, 892,216. The net we have to pay is only 3.3 million. So it actually kind of becomes a wash in terms of total cost. That's really exciting good news for us because it means we're not going to be hit. We're not going to be slammed by that increase. The secret good news too is that means the next year, those PERS rates are the same because it's a biennium. So this is the first year. The next year is the second year of that biennium. We don't have those 2 pension bonds. We only have the 2021 pension bond, which is only slightly more than the $2,208,000. So that'll be another $1 million reduction in costs, which will actually be our net PERS rate would go down. So that was my attempt to explain PERS in a few minutes.
It worked.
Well done.
Did it work? That makes sense?
Well done.
So that was something that was really potentially devastating for us. Combined with potentially having reductions in ODE's budget this year with state support fund. They were even talking about a 5%. For us, that would, just absolutely devastating. We would have to react immediately. It would be just like what happened 2 years ago in terms of our response that we would have to make. So at least the PERS part now is not there. Still have not heard any updates on ODE. The last I've heard from my fellow CFOs is that it's not going to be this year. It's going to be next year. So the rumors are this year we're fine. They're going to start concentrating on any reductions, likely in grants, starting next year.
We should know more after the short session's over in February. Early March.
Tom, presently, what's our percentage of markup on salary? And there was $100,000 of salary. How much markup is there on that with Social Security, PERS?
It's really a trick question because some of the benefit costs are fixed and some are variable. So if you have a lower salary, it could be higher because like if you have $5,000 in fixed costs in the ratio of that compared to your salary.
Oh, sure.
But if you were to average, it would probably be 55, 56%, closer to 60 sometimes depending on the salary. That is on top of your salary we have to pay. So, and if OEBB, there's currently kind of a cap on health rates. If that's, rumors are that might change. If those health benefit costs go up, then that's going to be a real hit because that costs a lot.
So I have a question for you. So I've been involved in different types of board structure or organization level. And I remember that for a lot of those, a 8% kind of reserve or rolling balance of your total budget, which if your numbers are, I'm speculating, are accurate right now, we'd be at about that, right? 8% of, with an ending balance of a little above 4 million out of 50, we're right there.
We'd be close to 8,
Is
yeah.
that also accurate for school district?
We are supposed to have a policy of 8% here for a reserve.
Actually, to clarify, OASPO recommends school districts have a range. You don't put it on a specific number,
Yeah.
but have a range of like 4 to 8% of fund balance. And the reason is because we get a lot of funds at the beginning of the year. One of the purposes of having fund balance is to cover costs at the beginning of a fiscal year. So if you're a fire district, you don't get any revenue until November, because that's when people pay your property taxes. So you might have to have a fund balance policy of 20% or 25%, because you have to have that gap from July 1 all the way until November when the property taxes start to come in. But we're pretty lucky, because I think we get 2 payments from the state support fund in July. We don't have very much payroll, because the teachers already got their 3 paychecks in June to cover the summer. So we don't have a real pressure to have that fund balance. Ours are more like fiscal health overall and symbolic of unknown needs at the time. It would be more like that. So I think that's part of what's behind OASPO's recommendation of the 4 to 8. You could always say 4 to 8 in reserves, because you could include contingency, which you can spend, as well as budgeted fund balance, which you can't spend. And then you can add like a caveat of the fund balance portion should be no less than 4%. So you can say 4 to 8%, but the fund balance is no less than 4. Some kind of language like that gives you the flexibility, because you can still have contingency to actually spend on things. Because remember, the budgeted fund balance you can only spend in case of natural emergency or a civil uprising, I think is the terminology in the budget law. Yeah, so that's something on our list that we should look at this second.
I think that's great, because that'll come into effect or into factors that we consider when it's time to do budget for next year, right?
Yep.
So according to this, when we're done with this fiscal year, we're done catching up. We're where we kind of want to be.
And we just got our audit report with no dings, which is really great, and a lot of compliments. And they said last year was emergency stability.
Yeah.
And then this year was recovery. Or the year before last year was emergency time. And because this audit is for last year was basically kind of your journey to recovery with the 3.1 million fund balance. Any other questions for me?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yep, well done. Okay, now to our discussion items. The sick leave bank. Did we have any more discussion on that before?
Just
we
real
get
quick
down
for
to
me,
action?
yeah, I don't, so I'm leaning yes for it. Any cons that I'm missing here? I don't see any.
The con is it costs us money.
Well, to clarify, it doesn't cost direct cost or indirect cost.
It's an indirect cost, correct.
Because you might have somebody out, so somebody has to fill in, or you might have a little bit of overtime. But it's not somebody who makes 50,000 isn't going to suddenly make more because of
We're not giving more, in the big picture, we're not giving more sick leave than's already out there.
In total.
By us, so.
As long as, from where I stand on this, as long as it's not causing any issues with the staff at all, and this is something that's going to bring them together, I'm all for it.
Well, the nice part about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, those of you well more in the know than me, but this is all voluntarily, and so if no staff wanted to put anything into the bank, then it doesn't get used. I mean, there's nothing to use, and so staff has already gone through making that decision.
My understanding is that this particular employee did not want to participate in the bank, was wanting to get bank hours.
It's additional.
Correct.
But the people would put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to Josh's point, let's say, I'll use myself as an example. Let's say I didn't buy into the program, so I have no hours in there. And I think that's your concern, is that, well, maybe, Derek in this case didn't put, now I'm asking for the collective. I think this is a unique circumstance with, these don't happen all the time, and then it does give us the authority to push out to the collective of, if you want to, great. If you don't, that's fine as well. It just provides the option and kind of a, non-typical event.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's wonderful to be able to help provide some of that protection to our confidential and other employees that might not
Right.
benefit from that.
Right.
And this isn't calendar days specific, it's work days or work hours, correct?
That's all I got.
Voting yet, right?
No. Any further discussion?
It's awfully quiet.
Okay.
Silence is.
Tom, the SIA Grant Agreement.
This is a bit of housekeeping. Per ODE, our board is required to review the Student Investment Account SIA Agreement, which we did on November 24th. We had it on the agenda, and we made sure there were no questions and everything looked okay. We went over the agreement on that date. We have since been reminded, I have been, that beginning last year, there is now a requirement in place specifically for the SIA agreement, not for the other integrated grants like high school success or early literacy, but just SIA, that the board actually has to vote to approve the agreement now procedurally. So our meeting minutes need to reflect that tonight, that the board has voted to approve the SIA agreement for this biennium, and we have to then upload that. We've uploaded all the other requirements, but we do not have that. Therefore, we have it on the agenda for the board to consider voting to approve.
Okay.
And next time I will do this in November like we're supposed to.
Okay, and so when we get to that in the action item, so we will need to authorize, or what would be the wording?
Just approve.
Approve.
Yeah.
Approve the agreement as written, since before when we reviewed, there were no issues.
And I
So-
believe I did present the plan in November. You just didn't vote on it, I think.
The
Yeah, I
integrated-
remember it being presented.
The integrated planning link doesn't work for me or Sarah, but the Silver Falls SDIA link does, Tom. So that one of the two that was uploaded this afternoon works, the other doesn't. I don't know if you need that for public meetings, if people want to get a hold of it, or is this just for us?
It's already been on a board packet
Okay.
previously, but I can have Debbie update it tomorrow. It was on in November.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any further discussion on that item?
Nope.
Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment here tonight? And do we have any online?
Don't see anything, but.
Okay. Okay. First action item then is the sick leave bank.
I move to approve the request to establish a sick leave bank for employee 2025-2026-1.
I second.
It's been moved in second to approve the request to establish a sick leave bank for employee 2025 to 2026-1. Any further discussion?
That should be up for a maximum of 50 hours per the agreement.
Yeah, and it's as the request was written, so yeah, up to the
So it's as
50
the request
days.
was written, yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Passed. Okay, then entertain a motion on the SIA Grant Agreement.
Move for approval for the SIA grant for this biennium as presented.
Second.
It's been moved in second to approve the SIA Grant Agreement for this biennium as presented. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote then. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Passed. Do we have any future agenda item requests? Okay, there being none, we adjourn.